My name is Robot Sex Music, and I make chiptune music. I'm Pete. I code music on Nintendo Game Boys with LSDJ. About 2,200 miles from Craig, Colorado, middle of nowhere. My first Magfest was, I want to say, 6 or 7 years ago, and then I skipped a year, and then I came to another one, and then I skipped 4 years, and here I am again. I found out about Magfest through Rob and Brandon. About 7 years back, Brandon started this CHIPTUNES win thing, and he worked for Magfest. I'd never heard of it, but decided to come down because he was going to be there, and boy, was it fun. Yeah, that's how I found out about it. You know, I'd been doing chiptune stuff with Boston Aphid for a little bit. You know, I didn't really realize that there was a big scene of people who would want to hear something like that. You know, I was just kind of making lo-fi beats in my basement with my buddies, and all of a sudden we got exposed to like this world of you can do weird nerdy shit, and you know, people will dig it. And that was cool. I've been doing the chiptune thing for about 10 years now. This will be the 10th year that I've been playing with LSDJ. I started playing piano when I was 5. I played some guitar when I was 13. I was in a band, a classic rock and roll band for 5-6 years. I played the Hammond organ. But this Game Boy stuff's only been about 10 years. Sure, so I have an aftermarket cartridge. You pop it into any old Game Boy. It has a program on it called Little Sound DJ, which somebody wrote. It's a 4-track sequencer / synthesizer. You can create your own sounds, you know, track your own music. I haven't put an actual game in one of my Game Boys since I found out that you could make music. I play my Vita or something like that. You know, it's cool. So you have one channel of white noise, just hi-hats, snares, stuff like that. You can pitch it different ways and manipulate it to sound like drums. You got one beefy wave channel, which you can use for heavy bass or samples or something like that. And then you got 2 pulse channels, you know, and it's working within those limitations that really, you know, draws me towards this medium still after so long. When I was a kid, I had Super Mario 2 for the Game Boy, and I would beat that game and then leave it on that final song just until the battery died, right? I'd listen to that song to the battery. I loved that song so much. I just wanted to beat the game just to hear the song. I didn't even like the game that much, you know? That song was cool. And sounds like that remind me of like a, you know, a happy, simple time. You know, when everything was cool. You know, you go home, you save the princess, beat the game, life's good. You know, and I think that's what gravitates me at least towards chiptune music as well. It reminds me of a simpler time. So chiptune refers to microchip music. It's people with old video game hardware, computer hardware, repurposing old hardware to make new music. Chiptune describes music the same way, like I could say guitar music, piano music, chiptune music, because you don't have to have one specific thing. You don't have to use a Game Boy and LSDJ like I do. You don't have to use a Commodore 64 or Fama Tracker or anything like that. It just describes any kind of music that's made on old hardware, old computers, old video game systems. And you have guys like, I prefer a dancier, maybe almost trappish approach, right? Some people make songs for the purposes of them being in video games that you can listen to over and over again. Chiptune is just anybody who's taken the time to use those sounds and you know, make something out of it. Magfest. Hell yeah, man. This is it. This is Chiptune Mecca. Like, this is the best show I could play in the country, I think. I mean, I've heard of, I've never been to 8 Static Fest, but I hear good things. I'm not gonna knock that. PAX was incredible. We had a good time over there. But Magfest is different. Magfest is all about the music and the games. I played here 4, maybe 5 years, I don't remember what year it was, but I played and I had a cover prepared that had part of the Power Rangers theme song in it. And just as I launched into that, there were a bunch of people who were dressed as the Power Rangers in the crowd. And I got them up on the stage and they all danced with me, and that was just on point. You couldn't ask for anything better than that. That was awesome. I mean, but that's to put it into one, you know, it's the memory of the whole experience. You know, I remember coming around that highway and seeing that Ferris wheel and being like, oh, what is that? You know, partying with friends until the wee hours of the morning, playing pinball, you know, it's everything. But that Power Rangers thing was mad cool. Well, just running into people that I haven't seen in a long time. You know, I've been off in Western Colorado, making new friends, having a good time. But I kind of left like a whole life behind, and it's like a return to that for me. Seeing Rob, like I used to sleep on Rob's couch in Boston. You know, my man Chris, we made music together. I haven't seen him in 4 years. People are out and about, you know, and I'm just excited to be here and see everybody, meet new people, you know. I saw Glenty on the stage last night. I hadn't seen him in a while either. That was cool. I caught some of that chiptune performance earlier. I thought I saw Brightface on there, play a song or two, and then he was gonna play tonight, so I want to check that out. I haven't really been watching a lot so far, but you know, I just got here. I'm excited. If I can swing it, yeah. Yeah, I'd love to. I love coming here. Well, yeah, I mean, we did something, we under the Magfest umbrella called Game Over in Denver, which was fun. I like the idea that they're branching out. You know, having Mag West would be a lot easier for me to get to than DC, but then of course Super Magfest is kind of the big thing. I heard there was some kind of a camping trip. I'm pretty interested in that because I like camping. Mag Stock. All right. But what I like to see, you know what, Mag Stock. Like, you know, we always joked about having chip stock or something like that, right? Or wood chip, if you will, you know. But seeing that they already do a camping trip, that's essentially that. You know, I'd love to see that. I want to see them keep expanding. I want to see more people here every year. Like, there's more people here than there were last year and the year before and the year before that, and everything keeps getting big and branching out. And I want to see it go to the moon and back, you know. If I could compare Magfest to a song, what would it be? If I had to compare Magfest to a song, it would be Party Hard by Andrew WK. And the reason it would be Party Hard by Andrew WK is because, not just because you're partying hard, you're raging or something like that, but because partying, especially to Andrew WK, can mean so many different things. And there's so many different people here Some people are dressed up in the cosplay, some people are playing chiptunes, some people are doing metal covers of Castlevania songs, you know, some people are playing games. Some people came here to play pinball all weekend. I don't know, but we're all partying together and we're doing it hard, you know, and it's about nothing but positivity. Leave your demons at the door, unless you're dressed as one. And yeah, Andrew WK. I'm Robot Sex Music and listen to my music. I don't know. Nah, dude, thanks for having me. Lots of fun.
My name is Liz, but I go by Memento online. Well, what I do here is I cosplay, mostly go to panels, take a lot of pictures, selfies, and try and meet people, and I am cosplaying as Futaba Sakura from Dancing Star Night. A little over an hour, I think, so not bad. I used to have dreams of being a professional, but it's just a hobby and I think it's more fun that way. I started in 2008, so we're at 11 years strong. When I saw her character design, and this is like before the game even came to America, when I saw her character design, I saw Oracle, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to figure out how those lights are gonna work. And then I played the game and I was like, I love this character. She's amazing. So I've just kept going and we are on costume number 7 of hers, I think. Futaba is definitely... I would say Futaba is the one I have the most official variants of. I have other characters who I do a lot of variants, but they're unofficial or inspired. But Futaba, I'm trying to see how many of her official outfits I can do. I think I'm at 7. I can count them out. I have her regular one, this one, Oracle, Christmas, bathing suit, Whims of Fate, which was an AU design that we did, and Egyptian. So yeah, 7. My ultimate dream cosplay right now is Aegis's full battle suit from Persona 3, because that is my all-time favorite game and I love Aegis so much. Other projects that I'm really excited about would be Yuri Plisetsky from Yuri on Ice, his Allegro Appassionato, because I found out I also really like sewing ice skating outfits. And I'd say those are my top 2. There's some like Yuri Kuma stuff I'm doing that I'm very excited for, but I'm trying to go with the flow. This is year 3 or 4. 4. I think one of my friends from college was actually going and he was like, hey, do you want to come? And I was like, con? Yeah, sure. So I ended up coming and being like, oh, this is really different. I really like it. I would say, I think it's a tie. My very first Magfest, I ran into a bunch of Ruby cosplayers because I used to cosplay Yang a lot. And I ran into some Ruby cosplayers and there was no Ruby shoot, so we organized and advertised a Ruby shoot for that night. And a bunch of people came, including someone who worked for Rooster Teeth. That's one of my favorite memories, and I think the other favorite memory is honestly the Persona dance party last year. That was so spur of the moment. So randomly done, and now it's becoming a tradition. I'm like, holy crap, I helped with that. I'm gonna say last year's. I think 2018 was my favorite because I debuted this outfit in its original form and the full screenshot hadn't even come out yet, so we didn't know fully what she looked like, and I was able to get here because we had snow days at work, and it was just like getting to be in the right place at the right time and the dance party, and it was just crazy fun. Magfest. I feel like people are probably surprised. Katsucon is too crowded to me. I feel like I can't move around. I like that at Magfest you can move around, and I feel like, I don't want to say it so it sounds shallow, but I feel like more people care about your cosplay at Magfest because there isn't as much cosplay. So people are excited to see you, whereas at Katsucon everyone is just, it's their A game, and it feels too competitive at times. And I don't know, I want to have fun. I want to meet people who do this too. I don't want to compete unless I'm entering a competition. So many. I mean, if I can plug my friends did some BNHA stuff for a fanfiction that they read, Todoroki and Deku, and they looked amazing. Gosh, there's just been so many amazing cosplays that I've seen. Definitely. If it's a friend of mine who's not super into anime manga cosplay, I'd probably tell him, like, this is a really great entry-level con, I'd say, because it focuses around music, it focuses around gaming. You're not going to be surrounded and inundated with all these cosplayers, but you're going to see it. But it's also just very laid back. There's a lot of, like, partying and drinking, and, like, everyone's just chill here. Everyone's nice. I feel like that would be sort of my pitch. I think it would depend on what type of person I was trying to convince, because if it's someone who doesn't party, I would, like, just be like, it's relaxed, it's laid back, you don't have to, like, commit to 50 million things, you can just, like, go with the flow. Probably, but not that I've been to. AUSA might be a close anime equivalent to it, just because that's another really laid-back convention that you can just go, you don't need to have a ton of things set in stone, you can go with the flow and have a good time. If you feel so inclined, check out my Instagram page. It is Memento Cosplay, MEMENTO Cosplay. I do a lot of Futaba, and I'm trying to get back into live streaming more regularly and just chatting, getting to know people. This hobby is really social for me, and I love making new friends.
I am Paul Good, and I am officially the president of Magfest. I'm not very involved with this event anymore. My presidential duties are more about just sort of administrating a nonprofit and looking at future strategic things for Magfest. But I used to run Magfest from about Magfest 5 to Magfest 10. I was the guy in charge. I came from Baltimore, so it took me over 2 hours because it was in rush hour. When I tell people what I do with Magfest, a lot of them assume that I started Magfest. I didn't even show up to the first Magfest, I missed it. But when I showed up to the second Magfest, I found something that I really wanted to be a part of. I got more and more involved as I went on because I found a community of people who were doing interesting things with video games that had nothing to do with the game industry. It wasn't driven by money, it was driven by a love of the technology and the abilities and the things that we could do with it. And that's probably the thing that excites me most in my life is the seeing what people do with new technology and how they come up with crazy new ways to reinvent their world based on that. And that's what I found at Magfest. Oh man, favorite Magfest memory? I cannot answer that question because there are too many. I can rattle off a few examples. At Magfest 5, I heard Arm Cannon for the first time, and they were playing a song from Super Metroid, which is my favorite game of all time. And I had no idea who they were or when they were going to be there or whatever. I heard a melody, and it took me away from everything I was doing, and I just watched them play. And when they were done with that song, they said, okay, this isn't a video game song, but we think you'll like it. And they broke into like a hard rockin' version of the Ghostbusters theme, and everybody started moshing to it. That's just one of them, but man, we had Nobuo Uematsu here for Magfest 10, and that was the most incredible show we've ever done. Every year I see amazing new things and meet amazing new bands and gamers and inventors, and I gave you some examples, but I cannot answer the like, this is my one favorite memory from Magfest. There's no such thing. Like there's too many. I can't answer the second question because my attitude is always there's no difference between the event organizers and the people at the event. A thing that I've always tried to do as a leader of Magfest is break down the barriers between the attendees, the guests, the staff, everybody. We're all here to enjoy the same thing, and if the staff are there to serve the customer, then you have this sort of separated and usually antagonistic relationship where the customer's a pain in your ass. And I try to encourage people not to approach it that way and think of everybody at Magfest as the same class of people. And if you want to help out, you help out. If you've got something interesting to offer, you bring it and you offer it. You do your thing at Magfest and bring that excitement to other people. So I don't see myself as an attendee or an organizer. I just see myself as somebody who's involved with Magfest, and I'm involved in the way that I want to be, and everybody else can be involved in the way that they want to be. So my memories of Magfest are as a person enjoying Magfest, not as the president or the head of the board or whatever. Oh, there are many things like that. Let's see. I can just start off at the top of my head. First thing that comes to mind is the internet. It's a great story about the internet here, and this is one that sort of speaks to the ingenuity of Magfest staffers. The venues tend to charge business prices for internet. Those prices are very, very high. They're used to companies and corporations and the organizations that come in here and are willing to drop thousands and thousands of dollars on internet because they don't understand what it is. We're a bunch of nerds, and we think internet should cost about $50 a month. So that didn't sit too well. So when we came to this venue, what we ended up doing to get internet is one of our people was working for a wireless ISP, and he set up an antenna, like a focused microwave dish, on a water tower 10 miles away. And we rented a room at our previous venue on the 20th floor or something, and set up a receiving antenna and a relay and a transmitting antenna, and then set up an antenna on a balcony in the Gaylord here. And that's how we got our internet to Magfest 10 the first year we were in the Gaylord. We were literally bouncing it almost 20 miles across Washington, D.C. to save a few $1,000s. And the year after, we went to the neighborhood here and just knocked on somebody's door and we're like, hey, can we buy you a business class internet connection and stick an antenna on your back fence? And they're like, all right, cool. So there's a house down the road here that has an antenna on their back fence that provides Magfest with I think it's like a 500 megabit fiber connection during the event. So that's just an example of the ingenuity and resourcefulness of Magfest people and the kind of things that we will do to make this event amazing with 1/10 of the resources that people normally use.
So, cosplay. You lit up when that topic came up during one of the interviews?
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to say about it?
Well, I lit up because she's the head of cosplay, and there's a complicated history with cosplay and Magfest. And the basic story there is, at Magfest 3, which was one of the worst run events I've ever been to in my life, I got motivated to help out because I saw what was happening at Magfest 3 and they needed a lot of help. One of the many things that went wrong at that event was the concerts went late. And I mean way late. We were supposed to be done by 11, and the headline act didn't even start until 1 a.m. The costume contest was scheduled for after the concert, and it happened at, I think, 4 a.m., and there were only like 6 people left for the costume contest, and it was dismal. And so after that happened, somebody went home and complained on their live journal that Magfest isn't so much a convention as it is a big video game party with a rock concert. And these days it sounds silly, but back then this was like the early days of Magfest, and it was still trying to find its footing and find its identity. And people jumped to our defense. They're like, "Rawr, Magfest is the best convention ever. Fuck you, the cosplayers suck." And I kind of stepped into that and was like, wait guys, look at what she actually said. This isn't an insult. This is our tagline. We are a big video game party with a rock concert. And we changed the name soon after that from the Mid-Atlantic Gaming Festival to the Music and Gaming Festival, because the problem wasn't that we were doing things wrong. The problem was that we were sending out an imprecise message. And as soon as we started letting people know that, yes, we are a big video game party with a rock concert, then people got very excited when they came to it and found exactly that. And that's where the whole convention versus festival thing comes from. It's people sort of trying to explain that difference of Magfest is not like an anime convention or a sci-fi convention or something like that. We don't have a lot of the standard things you would expect from those. We do things a little bit differently. The weird, slightly antagonistic relationship that Magfest has with cosplay sort of ties into the fundamental identity of Magfest in that way, and it's just one of those interesting stories from the early history of Magfest that I tell people and they kind of go, okay, yeah, I get it, and now I get why people hate cosplayers, but really people should have gotten over it. It's been 15 years. Well, no. The answer to the question of whether it's exceeding my expectations is definitely no, but that's because I expect insanity. I expect Magfest to take over the world. It's just a matter of time. We've managed to take over this town, we've taken over this hotel, but there's so much more to the world. There's so many other things we could be doing, and what we have done is great. This is fantastic. It's amazing. Every year, 20,000 people come to this place and take over this entire town for 4 days straight. And every year, I talk to person after person who comes up to me and is like, Magfest changed my life. This is amazing. And that's fantastic, and that's why I do it. But I see so much more potential. There's so many more things we could be doing. I mean, just as a really easy example, if you look at PAX, the Penny Arcade Expo. They have 4 or 5 different events now all over the world. They do it in Seattle and in Boston and in Australia and I think Texas, and I feel like there's something I'm forgetting. But like, those guys do a 50,000 person event like 4 times a year all over the world. We could be doing that. We could be doing that and more. I see so much potential for Magfest. As far as I'm concerned, we're still scratching the surface. We're still figuring out what can be done.
I just want to interject with the Magfest definition.
Cool. And I'd love to hear about that, by the way. I really love hearing from people who say that Magfest had an impact on their life, because that's what I'm here for, man. I've put myself through a lot of crap for Magfest, and there are certainly dark days where I'm like, man, why do I put up with this? Like, why am I doing this to myself? But then I come to Magfest and I hear from person after person who's just like, man, holy shit, let me tell you how Magfest changed my life. And after a while of that, I'm just like, oh, I can't give up. This is worth too much to too many people. This is amazing. And that's what does it for me. So I would like to hear more from you on that, certainly. Again, I could list a lot, and you referenced the whole Paul thing, and that's a whole interesting story by itself. I had very little to do with that. It just sort of happened in front of me, and I kind of went, okay, that's interesting. It was probably the most surreal moment of my life. But to actually answer your question, and this is controversial, but I think the most Magfest thing of all of it is the Colossus Roar. Because the Colossus Roar happened because at Magfest 6, the event was small enough and the space was open enough that the arcade and the marketplace and some other things shared a space. And it was the first year we got that 6-player X-Men machine, and everybody was super excited about it, and everybody was playing it all weekend long, 24 hours. And people were mashing on that Colossus power button. So from the corner of the event, you would hear that just over and over all day long. And a bunch of different people and groups take credit for starting the Colossus Roar as a thing at Magfest, but really it was the machine. It was just the machine. It was the presence in the back of you could hear it like subconsciously echoing behind all of Magfest all weekend long. And eventually everybody just started doing it, and it became a thing, and it became this call and response thing. And there's a lot of people who are sick of it now. There's a lot of just different opinions on the Colossus Roar and whether it's good. But to me, it's just this like raw, like aggressive celebration. And that's a perfect expression of Magfest to me. That it's always been one of my favorite things, and I'm still entertained that people still do it. You can hear the Colossus Roar going down the hallways. I think Magfest continues to grow because it is a unique thing that a lot of people crave. I think there are a lot of people in the world who are looking for the same thing that I was looking for when I found Magfest, which is people doing interesting things because they love it. Not because it's going to make them rich or famous or anything. There are very few people now making a living doing video game covers. I think there's like 2 bands that make a living doing video game covers. You're not gonna be a rich, famous rock star doing that. And like, arcades are mostly dead now. If you're collecting arcade machines, you're doing it because you really love the arcade machines, not because you're trying to make a buck off the local kids. And everything at Magfest is like that. Everything at Magfest is people putting their passion into something related to video games or video game music. There's not really a good place to do that elsewhere because the game industry itself is hyper-capitalist. If there's no chance that you're going to make millions of dollars on the thing you're working on, nobody's interested. So Magfest provides a place for people who are interested in that, and I think that's all gamers. I think gamers are interested in being passionate about what it is that they're doing, and they're not all just looking to throw some money at some passive entertainment for a while. And that's, to me, that's the beautiful thing about video games themselves, and Magfest is a celebration of that. So I think it's universal. I think it's fundamentally human to want to be passionate about something that excites you, and Magfest provides a place for people to do that and come together and find other people who are interested in these things. I think Magfest can keep growing until literally the entire world knows about it.
Thank you for doing this interview. I think it's fantastic that you were actually willing to come out here. I don't know any event where I can literally meet basically the founder or the president of the event who will come out and talk to me about it.
Yeah. I was the guy number 3. The first guy was Joe. He created it, and he's got a lot of good stories because Magfest was originally supposed to be an anime convention, and everything that happened is accidental. And then Brendan took over from Joe, and then I started helping Brendan and slowly took over from him. And then Dom took over from me, and Dom has now handed it off to Nick. So that's the sort of progression of people in charge of Magfest. So I was kind of the guy in the middle. Like I said, I ran from about 5 to about 11. Now these days, I got very little to do with this event. We got people that are paid full-time to handle things. We got a volunteer force of, I think over 1,500 people now. This event is handling itself beautifully. I can step back and just sort of enjoy it, which is great. A lot of times, it's also a little weird that I don't know everything, because I used to know everything, so it's a little unnerving. But yeah, it's really fun, and I like doing this. And like I said, I like breaking down the barriers between the attendees and the staff and the guests and everything. So I just want to hang out with people and connect with people and get to know everybody who's passionate about this. And that's 20,000 people right now, so it's going to be hard to get to know all of them, but I'll keep trying. We always need help. We always need good people who are passionate about things and want to get involved. And we definitely need help with a lot of things. And if you're very excited about some video game thing, if you build arcade machines or whatever, bring that, that's great. But it doesn't matter what you do. If you're excited about spreadsheets, if you're a lawyer or an aspiring one, if you have anything that can contribute to a company or an organization or a party or anything, and everybody has something that can contribute, please come help. Magfest has always been a volunteer-run, volunteer-driven organization that is about the passion of the people involved. And it wouldn't be what it is without a whole bunch of random people sort of looking at it going, I wonder if I can do that. That's probably a little crazy. I don't know if I can do that. Fuck it, I'm going to do it. And they do it. And sometimes it turns out amazing. Sometimes it turns out as Magfest. And we constantly need people helping to make that happen. I will be coming to every Magfest event I possibly can. I haven't gone to every single one. I've missed Mag Stock once or twice. I've missed some bit gens. But yeah, I've been to every Magfest since 2, and I don't plan on stopping until I die, and maybe not even then. Again, that's a hard one because I want to promote the spirit of Magfest itself. I want to promote participation, discovery, involvement. I want people to know that they can get involved in Magfest. All you got to do is want to do something and follow through and do it. And that is by far the most important thing. And people look at Magfest and they're like, how do you pull it off? This is insane. There's nothing like this. What is the miracle of Magfest? And it's honestly a valid question, because anybody that's doing anything remotely similar to what we're doing is doing it with some kind of sponsorship. And the only reason we can pull it off without sponsorship is because people get excited and passionate and they want to get involved. And again, I can't say it enough times, enough ways. That's what makes Magfest happen, and that's what we need to make Magfest continue to happen. So if I want to promote anything, it's involvement. It's everybody coming to Magfest, and not just like dropping your money to see a show. That's not what Magfest is. There's 1,000 other places you can do that. You can pay for a ticket and be entertained for a night and go home. That's not Magfest. At Magfest, you show up, you get involved, you find things, you find people, you make friends, you discover things that you can do, and you go, oh wow, all right. If I can get involved with this thing and make this happen, then it's going to be more like the thing that I want to see. And that's what Magfest is here for. It's for people that want to make things happen that they didn't think could happen anywhere else. That's the most important thing.